Hey everybody, thanks for coming back. Today we're going to talk about the distributive property, which is kind of a big idea when we're looking at multiplication. So what is the distributive property? The distributive property usually involves a term being multiplied by another term in a set of parentheses. All right, so you might see a problem like this one, 5 times 3 plus 4. This obviously is easy for those of you watching. You just add 3 plus 4 and then multiply by 5 to get 35. So, I mean, that's the order of operations. But you can also solve this using the distributive property. And, to be honest, the distributive property works out much better, is much more useful when there are variables in your term here. So anyway, how does it work? Well, this term that is on the outside of our parentheses can be multiplied by every term inside of parentheses, and you're still going to get the same answer. So like we said, the answer to this is 35. But if you multiply your 5 by your 3 and your 5 by your 4 and then add those products together, you're still going to get 35. So we kind of carried this out a little bit right here. 5 times 3 plus 5 times 4. Well, 5 times 3 is 15 and 5 times 4 is 20. What do we get when we add them up? We get 35. Just like I promised you. I'm not a liar. All right, so here we are. Here's another one. It says we can also use this to multiply large numbers, and it may make it a little easier for you. So we can break the larger number down into its place values. So for example, we have 4 times 33, which off the top of your head might not be very easy, but if you break 33 down into its place values and use the distributive property, it's a lot more manageable. So breaking 33 down into its place values would be 30 plus 3. So that means that this is the same as 4 times 30 plus 4 times 3. 4 times 30 is 120, and 4 times 3 is 12. So you can add those together and get 132. All right, see how that makes that problem much more manageable? All right, we're going to clear ink and we're going to move on to the next slide. All right, here we have a few problems we're going to practice, and we're not just going to solve for a final answer. We're going to practice using the distributive property and just like see what it looks like when you rewrite them. So 5 times 12 plus 7, we can rewrite as 5 times 12 plus 5 times 7. Right over here, 14 times 2 plus 4 is the same as 14 times 2 plus 14 times 4. 13 times 9 plus 6 is the same as 13 times 9 plus 13 times 6. 6 times 12 plus 4 is the same as 6 times 12 plus 6 times 4. All right, now these last two we're going to practice breaking our larger number down into its place values and using the distributive property that way. So 2 times 85 may not be one that you can do off the top of your head. So if we break 85 down into its place values, it would be 80 plus 5. So I'm just going to rewrite that as, two different factors. So we've got 2 times 80 plus 5. All right, now I can distribute. So this is the same as 2 times 80 plus 2 times 5. And now when you look at it, it may seem a lot more manageable. 2 times 80 is 160. 2 times 5, make sure we know that that's a times. 2 times 5 is 10, so 160 plus 10 is 170. All right. Over here we have 5 times 126. Now 126 can be broken into 3 different place values, right? So we're going to rewrite that as 2 factors. So 5 times 126 can be rewritten as 100 plus 20 plus 6. All right, so now we distribute the 5 to every term in parentheses. So this is the same as 5 times 100 plus 5 times 20 plus 5 times 6. All right, now you may be able to look at this problem and realize 5 times 100 is 500. 5 times 20 is 100. 5 times 6 is 30. So the answer has to be 630. Okay, I think that's all we have for this. Oh, I'm wrong. All right. So the opposite of distributing is factoring. That's when you find, like, what number can you divide all of your terms in your problem by. So if you have something like this, 12 times 3 plus 12 times 10, we can factor out 12. That is our common factor between these two terms, and then rewrite it as, this problem right here. So 12 times 3 plus 12 times 10. We realize that both of these terms are being multiplied by 12, so we factor out the 12, and then two numbers that are left over we can add together in our parentheses. All right, so that's factoring. Okay, so let's practice. I obviously didn't review this before I started recording, so let's practice factoring a couple of these out. So here we have 9 times 3 plus 9 times 8. The common factor is the number that we can tell is being multiplied both times, so it's 9. All right, we write a set of parentheses, and the two numbers that are left over, 3 and 8, we're just going to add up in our set of parentheses. So this is the same as 9 times 3 plus 8. Over here, 2 times 5 plus 2 times 10. Our common factor is 2. We see it right here and right here. All right, now in parentheses, 5 and 10 are going to be added up. Okay, moving on. Here we have 7 times 3 plus 7 times 5. 7 is our common factor, and we are left with 3 plus 5. All right, final problem. 8 times 4 plus 8 times 8. The common factor here is 8. And what's left over is 4 plus 8. Okay, well, thank you for joining me to talk about distribution, and I hope that you learned something from it. Goodbye.